Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy if you're new here, and if you're not new here, thanks so much for coming back. Today's video is going to be, if you did not see my previous video, an 8-week pregnancy update. We announced last week to both our younger children and to the world at large that we are expecting baby number 5. So I'm going to do pregnancy updates probably every 4 weeks or so, unless there's something else to report, just to kind of keep track of where things are going. So if you're wondering what it's like to be pregnant with baby number 5 and how I'm feeling, then just keep watching. Okay, so we're just gonna jump into this update. I'm gonna go over kind of where the baby's at developmentally right now, and then where I'm at developmentally, I don't know, where I'm at as far as how I'm feeling and what's going on. So I'm reading off of a notebook today because we're having baby number 5, and baby number 4 wanted to be sitting in here with me doing the video, and so I bribed her with ABC Mouse on my phone instead of sitting in here with me, which means that she has my little pregnancy app, so I had to write some stuff down first. So I have a couple little baby tracker apps, and I mean, they're fun. They tell you basically the same thing, but some of them are just like the interface is different. So I've downloaded a few. The one that I keep opening and using is the What to Expect app, which is basically the only thing that I use from What to Expect because I don't like the book. But the What to Expect app is the one that I'm kind of getting most of this information from. If anybody's looking for an app, I like it so far. So week 8 is today. Starting today, the baby's the size of a raspberry, upgraded from a blueberry last week. About ½ inch long, between ½ and 2/3 of an inch long, so still very tiny. But this week, the retinas are forming. The baby will have lips, a nose, and eyelids developing this week. By the end of the week, he or she will have all major essential organs and body systems beginning to form. Baby already has a heartbeat, and right now it's probably between 150 and 170 beats per minute. We did go in for an early ultrasound at 5 weeks, no, hold on. We went in for one at 5 weeks, 4 days, and they saw a gestational sac and a yolk sac. So we went back at 6 weeks, 4 days, and they were able to see baby with a little heartbeat. We saw the little fetal pole. You can see the spine and a spinal column forming there. So I will post that picture here. This is our little baby. We did have early ultrasounds and monitoring done because this pregnancy was achieved via IVF. And if you want more information about that and about why we did IVF, what the process was like, and things like that, I will be doing future videos just kind of explaining that aspect of it. And there are a few things that I'm going to touch on that kind of make that an essential piece of information in this video. But I will be doing videos in the future that explain our journey to baby number 5, if you will. So be sure to check those out. Moving on from baby, let's talk about me. How am I doing with baby number 5? Well, the obvious ones, we'll just get the embarrassing stuff out of the way. I'm gassy. I'm gassy mostly because I'm constipated a lot. That's very uncomfortable, but it is what it is. And part of the reason for that probably is because I am still on progesterone shots, like progesterone and oil shots that I have to take every morning. And then I also have to use progesterone suppositories twice a day, and progesterone's kind of constipating. Also, I'm still taking estrogen until week 10. So I think just the combination, because I've never really had constipation problems with my other pregnancies. I mean, I have, but not this early on. So I think a lot of it is the hormones, the extra hormones that I'm taking and things like that. I am staying super hydrated and trying to eat good, fibrous, movement-inducing foods, but it is what it is. So there's that. My nausea and morning sickness started around 6 weeks. I was a little bit queasy here and there, but nothing too bad. I did have a really bad migraine at like 5.5 weeks, I think. And I didn't have anything that I could really do for it at home other than Tylenol, and I did that and it wasn't working. So I had to go into the emergency room. They gave me meds and got rid of it, and then I talked to my doctor, so we have a game plan for at home. I do have chronic migraines anyway. I've suffered from them since I was 12. each pregnancy has been very different for me. Some pregnancies I have had a reprieve from my migraines, and some pregnancies they've been much, much worse. So, and there's really no rhyme or reason to it. With my daughter, my first pregnancy, my migraines were about the same as they were before I got pregnant. With my son, my second pregnancy, they were much worse. In fact, he was induced at the end of my pregnancy because I was having to go into labor and delivery like every 5 to 7 days to get a shot of morphine and antiemetics to stop the vomiting and the pain. So we elected to induce at the end because I thought that was better than anyway. With my third child, which was another boy, my migraines were very manageable, and with my fourth, they were almost non-existent. So I'm kind of waiting to see where this one will go. Having one doesn't mean the end of everything. I did have another one the other day, and I tried the meds that they sent me home with at the ER, and those meds are awful, and so I won't be taking those anymore, but we have switched meds, and so hopefully those will work. I have had some food aversions. My biggest aversions are weird things like unflavored bread. By unflavored bread, I mean, like, you know how sometimes you take that last bite of your sandwich and maybe like there was no peanut butter and jelly, or there was no turkey or whatever, it's just bread, and so there's no flavoring, no condiments, nothing. It's just, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like just a piece of bread with no butter, no toast, no jelly, no meat, nothing on it. Makes me gag. So, which was unfortunate to find out by taking the last bite of my sandwich the other day, but it's okay. So no unflavored bread. The other thing that has caused me aversion is like animal fat, and by that I don't mean things like butter and stuff. I mean, like, you know how sometimes you take a bite like of a chicken sandwich or something and there's like that one little spot where there's like a fatty piece of meat or whatever, or on a steak where there's an extra piece of anything like that. Can't do it. Beef bacon with the fat, I can't, like, there's just, it's too much. So those are the two things that I've had aversions to. The one thing I have been craving, ironically, which sucks because of my aversion, is Chipotle. They're burrito bowls with chicken and rice, no beans, lettuce, cheese, sour cream, and chips on the side. So delicious, but try not to get that too much because that gets expensive. The other food that I've had, I wouldn't really call it a craving, but it's kind of a comfort thing. Like if I'm feeling nauseated but I need to eat something, I have been eating applesauce or bananas. Both of those things seem to stay down fairly well and settle my stomach a little bit. So that's good. My morning sickness has also been really weird this pregnancy because normally I think people, like, they get up, you know, when you expect like you're nauseous, maybe throw up in the morning, and then throughout the day you're a little nauseous. Mine has been okay in the morning until around noon, and then I start to get a little queasy. By 5 o'clock, I'm pretty nauseated, and by the time I go to bed, I'm usually like just feeling sick. So it's been in the evenings, which is kind of a blessing because my husband comes home from work and then I can just basically be a useless lump in my bed, barking out orders and directing bedtime from under the blankets. But I'm praying that that will get better as we progress through the first trimester. So if you're the praying type, pray with me. So the other thing that commonly happens during pregnancy that nobody likes to talk about is weight gain. I have gained maybe a pound. That's really hard to gauge because part of the IVF protocol when we did our transfer was that I had to take prednisone daily. And if you've ever taken prednisone or any steroid, you know that it can cause you to kind of retain water and bloat and gain weight. I was also doing intermittent fasting, and we had our IVF transfer in July, and during the month of July I was doing a no weigh, or a 30-day no weigh challenge. So I'm not exactly sure where I started out at, but I did weigh in August and I was already pregnant at that point, but I was very, very early pregnant. So I'm up about a pound, but again, I don't know how much of that, now that I've stopped the steroids, is going to maybe come off in water weight, or if that's a true measure. So right now I'm just gonna say maybe a pound, and we'll just leave it there and I'll update later. I also feel like it's worth mentioning so I suffer from mild anxiety anyway, and I'm not on any meds or anything for it, but this pregnancy I have had some pregnancy anxiety, and I don't mean like necessarily just anxiety about my pregnancy, but just feeling anxious, and like, it's very hard to describe. It's not like, my anxiety usually manifests in like I get snappy and I get snippy and I get angry when I'm anxious about something, but this is different. It's like, I don't know, almost just like restless, like unable to settle, like I can't, like I feel like I'm vibrating in my own body. Like it's been awful, which is one of the reasons why we switched off of the med that they gave me in the emergency room for migraines, because commonly they will use Reglan, which is an anti-nausea medication, but it is also used to treat migraines because it has a side effect of aborting a migraine, which is handy, but it also has one of a very common side effect of causing anxiety or restlessness, feelings of unease and things like that. And I think just with my pre-existing anxiety, it's just too much. Like I took it one time at home and it was awful. It was awful. It took an hour or two to wear off once it kicked in. And thankfully it's a fast acting medication. And because I knew that there was a possibility of that side effect, I kind of was able to talk myself out of my own head. But it was awful. Like I was up taking showers with like the massager just for tactile input, just to kind of distract my mind, and I would just lay in bed and shake my foot and tap things, and it was awful. And so I won't be doing Reglan anymore ever again. It was awful. But I think that just maybe it's a combination of the fact that we tried for 2.5 years and then had to do IVF, and then there's a lot of nerves involved in the pregnancy anyway, and maybe just because it's fairly common for women who have anxiety going into a pregnancy to have it exacerbated or resurface during pregnancy. So I'm just hoping that maybe that will kind of calm down and get under control. If not, I will talk to my doctor and we will come up with a plan for treatment, because obviously being in a good mental space is important to being in a good physical space. So that's basically where we're at for week 8. I know this was a little bit longer of an update, but I wanted to kind of include some of the details, like with the IVF and the anxiety and stuff like that. I thought they were important to go over. But if you are interested in following along with this pregnancy to see how we're doing with baby number 5 on the way, with homeschooling while pregnant, with searching for a house to move while pregnant, all of these things I will be updating you on throughout the pregnancy. I will do an update on my intermittent fasting and pregnancy and kind of how those two things work or don't work together, and that will be up in the coming weeks. And then also just an update on what we're doing, like I said, with the kids, with the pregnancy, everything going on. So if you want to see all that information, make sure that you subscribe down below so that you don't miss any videos, and we will see you back here next week. Thanks for coming. Have a great day.